Okay, today we're going to show you how to make some real quick and easy jalapeno poppers that I have taken them to several family gatherings and several work functions, and they are the best and have been more commented on than any other thing I've ever made. So I'll show you real quick how to get them done. Be right with us. Okay, first we have our jalapenos. These we just picked up from Walmart because ours haven't fully matured yet in the garden. I have my cream cheese setting in some hot water to soften. I have the bag in which I'll throw all my middles in. I have gloves, of course, to be able to cut and handle these. I would not recommend doing this without gloves. You can use those really cheap kitchen gloves, or you can get like medical gloves like this. Sometimes these don't even keep the oil from getting on your hands, but after you've had a couple trips to the bathroom after doing this and you're burning for the rest of the evening, if not into the next day, that will remind you to be a little more cautious. So we have bacon here. This bacon I got because it is a little thinner than regular. It's not thick cut, because and I'll show you why. And then some little cheddar smokies. So first we will get these cored and sliced, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we have them all cut now. As you can see, they are, you have to try to cut them as evenly in the middle as possible to make them have a little bit of a cup. Sometimes they're odd shaped and they don't have a really good cup, but this, so I got them all sliced in half, took the seeds and the rims out, and then now I'm soaking them in as hot a water as the faucet will get. Now when I first cut and sliced them, I put them into cold water to kind of firm them up, but I've rinsed them a couple times now and I put them in this hot water so that it kind of opens up the pockets a little bit and lets some of that oil out of it to for some of them that are a little hotter. Now usually you can tell whether they are hotter or not when you're cutting them, and these do seem to be a little bit of a hotter variety, because I got to coughing halfway cut through rinsing them, so that and they're getting my nose to run. So these are a bit of a hotter variety, so I am just soaking them a little bit in hot water to make sure that I get a little bit more of that oil out, to make sure I got all the seeds out. I don't mind them hot, but the rest of the family doesn't really care for them burning their mouths completely off, so where they can't enjoy anything else. So we'll let them soak here for a few minutes, and then we'll dry them off on some paper towels and be right back. Okay, so now for the filling. I've got the peppers drying out. This cream cheese, 1 block, 8 ounces. I had it soaking in hot water, came out of the fridge, so instead of having it at room temperature for hours or putting it in a warm spot, I just stick it in some hot water, and it softens up pretty quickly and easily. So and I got some cheddar cheese. This is mild. I usually use sharper. Finer shredding works a little bit better, but I don't know, I put about a dump. Depends on how cheddary you want it. I like them a little cheddary, but also depending on how much you're making. So if you add a little bit more cheese, then it mixes it up just a little bit more. Add just a dash of onion powder, probably about 1/4 teaspoon. Add about a teaspoon to teaspoon and a half of garlic salt, and then just a pinch of oregano. So maybe another little half a pinch. So then you just take, I don't use the blender, I just fork it together. Usually mixes up a little bit better, because by the time it's time to put it on, I'm going to have my fingers in there anyway. So, but I kind of want it to blend together a little bit so that it can blend some of those flavors together. The garlic and the salt can rehydrate and kind of blend, and so otherwise one of the poppers is going to have a big old bite of oregano or garlic or something. So this way it kind of rehydrates a little bit. Then you can kind of also see the consistency if that's how you want it with the cheese. That looks like about the right consistency. You want, I don't know, not quite half and half, more like 60-40 or 70-30 of the cream cheese as opposed to the excuse me, as opposed to the cheddar cheese. So the cream cheese to the cheddar cheese ratio looks pretty good. I mean, you can't go wrong when you're working with cream cheese or cheddar cheese, in my opinion. So that looks like it's mixed up pretty well. So we're going to set this aside and again just kind of let it blend. Then I'll just stir it around a little bit more. Right now I'm going to get the meat set up. So this is, now in my opinion, for this recipe, these are the only type of smokies to go with. There are little smokies that are like little hot dogs, and then there's little smokies that are like little sausages, and these are like the little sausages. These have a firmer texture. These are not hot doggy at all. I mean, these are just little sausages. But this, again, because you can't have too much cheese, is the little smokies with the extra cheddar into the sausages. So again, my opinion, you can't go wrong with extra cheese or extra bacon or extra sausage. So, and again, this the reason I picked this bacon is because it is a thinner slice bacon. So, and I'll show you why that matters here. Again, you wouldn't normally cut towards you, but that knife wouldn't cut through a paper bag pretty much. Okay, so we have our area all prepped here. So we're going to get our poppers. This is just a bar pan from Pampered Chef. These are the peppers that we were using. I'll just kind of flick them over here. Kind of dry off some of the water. So to get this, so let me re-glove and then we'll be right back. Okay, so I'm just gonna so I've got my peppers, my little cheese smokies, because of course you can't have too much cheese, my thinly cut bacon. I prefer the low sodium bacon because I can add a little, because it has so much flavor. Sometimes the bacon can be overwhelming. I know that may be an ironic statement or an oxymoron, but the low sodium bacon just has a little bit milder of a flavor. But this is my second choice, and it was on sale, so of course savings goes over preference sometimes. So again, I'm gloved up because again, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I do not want to be up all night burning like crazy. So you just take, again, your filling. You just fill in the crease of the pepper. You take your smoky, you lay it on top. You take your bacon. Make sure it is leveled out. Oh, see, there's a little thinner bacon in there. And you just wrap it up. I don't necessarily use toothpicks. You can. I just feel that the toothpicks sometimes just get in the way. So I lay it there on this cooking rack. When it bakes, the bacon will, of course, constrict, which will hold it together, hold the sausage in there, and it'll also bake the pepper, but then the bacon fat will drip so that it'll have an even toast around it, because there's no sense in cooking bacon if you happen to gum it to death. You want it to bite. You want it to be crispy. So this way it cooks the bacon a little evenly, more evenly across the entire popper. So originally I found a recipe online and they were called buffalo turds. That name doesn't necessarily ring the most delightful of products, so after calling them buffalo turds a couple times at family reunions, I changed the name to just bacon wrap poppers. So, and I did modify the recipe just a little bit. So this way you can get a little bit better. Sometimes if I have really big jalapenos, sometimes you can get them bigger, sometimes you get them smaller like this. I have to put 1.5 sausages in it. Sometimes they're smaller and I have to do like a 75% of a popper or a little smoky. So this way these seem to be pretty evenly distributed. So I'll get these wrapped up and then I'll show you what they look like after they're done. Okay, so we're getting to the end. Let me show you another tip. You can always take your pepper here, and to be able to get the rest of it, just kind of use it as a little scraper. Scrape in the sides here, and you're able to get all of the cheese out. Again, I saved a little bit of money on the bacon. Might as well save it on the not throwing out the cheese. So just wrap that around again. Okay, so as you can see, it made quite a few. You always want to get the cup up. Just drizzle that on the top there. Again, you can't have too much bacon. So again, now we're going to be able to bake these in the oven. There's several different ways you can bake them. 375 for about 20-30 minutes. Again, works okay. If you cook it a little lower and longer, it cooks the jalapeno a little bit more, which kind of takes the heat out of it a little bit, but it doesn't always make your bacon as cooked all the way through, or not as crispy. So if you cook it, if your oven has a convection, like a convection kind of setting, you can cook it a little bit higher at like 420, and it does cook the bacon all the way through, and then you can turn it down a little lower and let the pepper cook a little bit more in the inside. You just kind of have to play with it depending on how hot you want them. Again, I don't mind them a little bit hot. Some of them are a little spicier than others, but again, they are a jalapeno popper. They're kind of intended to be hot, so if somebody's like, I can't get this hot, well, I mean, I don't necessarily force them to, because then again, that means more for me. So I'm going to cook these at 425 on the convection setting of our oven, and then I'll show you what they look like afterwards. I'm going to thin them out a little bit more, maybe put some on a different pan so they're not as crowded. So I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, so they're done cooking. We let them cook for about 30 minutes on 425 on the convection setting. As you can see, they're pretty cooked around pretty evenly. They're still hot, so the cheese is still, of course, a little bit runny, which is fine. Just let them cool a little bit. You can see some of this cheese is trying to poke out, but how they kind of just, the bacon wrapped around them and kind of snuggling them together like a big bacon hug. That's what I like. So here's a few here that I'm gonna, so here is what they look like on the inside. So let's see here. No, it is just bacon wrapped, and then the cheese is kind of poked out towards the middle, so these are kind of snuggled into a cheese casing, bacon around the back. So this again is my version of a jalapeno popper. It's close to the buffalo turd recipe that I guess has been floating around online. These are clean eating technically for like the Trim Healthy Mama diet. I'm not sure that they are on paleo because of the bacon. I'm not quite sure how paleo got, how they're kind of set up. So, but for having just basic ingredients, they are very good. You can I have substituted the sausages for shrimp. That is also really good. You can also take a chicken breast and you can flatten it out, take the jalapeno popper, put the smoky in it, wrap it in the chicken breast, and then wrap it in bacon. And then of course it takes a little bit longer. You have to bake it on a lower temperature to make sure it gets cooked all the way through, but those are also very good. So with the filling, you don't have to make as many as this. You can make up the filling, and then you can also, you don't necessarily have to stuff jalapenos. You can stuff chicken breast, you can stuff other stuff with it, with the cheese filling, for other meals, and it turned out just as good. So this is my version of a jalapeno popper, and I appreciate you watching. Please comment and subscribe and share. Try them out, comment below and see how you like them, and I'll see you on the next video.